I'm in South Normanton on a snowy day. Ugh.
Yeah,
I'm talking to Paul Stears. Paul, I've come to talk about Budget Buddies.
indeed.
Tell me about Budget Buddies. What's Budget Buddies all about?
Well, Budget Buddies is one of the main initiatives that we as a charity, which is Release Financial Charity, run. Release was set up in 2005 to help people in districts of Bolsover manage their money and make informed choices about their money. And Budget Buddies is trying to deliver that to local people. Budget Buddies is a system where people work to support other people in the community to help them control their money and decide how to use it.
Right, how do they help them? What do they do?
They become friends, if you like, mentors or coaches, and it's just through relationship. We're not trying to tell people do this or do that. We're just trying to work with people and support them in a way that helps them.
So these people that want to help, how do they know what to do, what to say, what to advise?
So if somebody would like to become a Budget Buddy, we have a day's training course which is free. It runs at different places around the district at different times, and people will come along and they can just come along for their own benefit to help themselves, or that will help them to become a Budget Buddy. And we don't give formal advice because there's some legal regulations on that, but people will be trained and then ongoing support to give the relevant information and guidance to help people decide how to work out what money's coming in, can they get more money coming in, how to reduce their money going out.
So what risks are there for the person that wants to train as a Budget Buddy? Somebody could say, well, he advised me, he thought I should do this and it all went wrong. Is that a risk?
It's a very small risk, but if people follow the training and the support that we give them, that won't happen, because we don't give advice, we give information and guidance, and it's just saying to people these are some of the options that might be available, or if specialist advice is needed. For example, if somebody is struggling to pay all their bills, it may be that we support them to go and see a specialist debt advisor who will give them that free advice.
Okay, what's in it for the people who are helping, who are being Budget Buddies?
I think it's the feel-good factor. Different people are motivated by different aspects of life, but if we care for our community, a lot of people like helping other people, and that can be a really feel-good factor. Also, it can help people with their CV and build their confidence up and that sort of thing. So for different people, it's different motivations.
How do you combat the one about, was it Edwina Clark, Edwina Curry,
Yeah.
who said, oh, I mean, the poor, did you spend all the money on tattoos and dog food?
Indeed. Well, this is where people have the right to decide how to use their money. And if somebody may be living alone, to have a dog may be a companion for them. So to me that would be quite a priority for them. So we would consider how we can make that work for them. If somebody had tattoos, we're not going to say you shouldn't have tattoos. If that's a priority for them, we'll work with them and say, okay, how much is that going to cost you a year? How can you have that X amount of money available to spend on that? Because what we don't want is people borrowing money to get tattoos, which puts them in a worse situation.
There are some horror stories about people borrowing money.
Indeed.
Huge percentages. I've got family myself. How do you combat loan sharks and payday lenders?
Indeed. Firstly, to borrow money isn't necessarily wrong. We will help work with somebody to work out what money they might have available to pay £20 a week, £50 a month or whatever back if they do borrow that money. And if they do, we'll then say, well, rather than going to a loan shop, which are the illegal money lenders, or the payday lenders, which have interest rates and technically what's called the annual percentage rates, the amount of charges that go on. This is how companies make a lot of money out of people borrowing money from them. We will suggest other more cheaper, ethical ways of borrowing that money, which might be the local credit union. There are other fair share schemes available nationally as well, and we can help work with people to know what they can afford and get the items that they need.
What about Budget Buddies, or what's the overall charity called?
Release Financial Charity, and the name comes from helping to release people from financial bondage. It sounds a bit jargony, but it's basically giving people that second chance of living, because we all handle money and people get bogged down with money and not be able to pay bills and pay it back.
So, who funds Release?
Release is funded a little bit from any grant funding that we can get. I do a lot of training nationally, for example, for credit unions, and other training where I bring an income into the organisation. That brings the bulk of our income in, but also currently the local strategic partnership in Bolsover, which is linked into the council, are funding us as well for some of the work that we're doing with Budget Buddies, so we thank them. So we try and get money from any charities and donors that we can.
I've heard some horror stories about people who've had dreadful things happen in their life. So problems aren't that simple that it's simply finance.
Indeed. The Budget Buddies initiative, and what we specialise in, what we're good at, is looking at people's finances and working with them and helping them to make choices. But people tend to have a package of issues that come about. Now, we don't claim that we can sort every issue out, but what we won't do is just say, we're only doing this. We will link people in to other organisations. For example, locally there's an initiative called Affordable Warmth Buddies, which will help people with heating and that sort of thing. And also there's local area coordinators, which is funded and supported by Derby City Council, and that helps people to have a better quality of life, to plan for their future. And there's other initiatives as well, that if people, for example, have a family member who might be struggling with alcohol, etc., we will point them in the right direction, and then we will ask them how they're getting on.
So there's a whole package there of different things
Absolutely.
we need to find out about. That sounds like a whole list of email addresses and phone numbers, and how do we find out about all this stuff?
Part of what Budget Buddies has done, what I have done, and previous workers, we have started to collate a list, and we have about 50 or 60 organisations in Bolsover and nationally that we can refer people to. It may be housing, etc. And that list is always being updated. And if somebody is a Budget Buddy, and for example, they're working with somebody and there's an issue they don't understand, we wouldn't expect them to go and find that out. We would be happy to work with them and either say this is who they could contact. I'm always available for support, and there are other people, other Budget Buddies who have other experience and other workers who can help people find out what they need to find out.
So how do we find out more? How do we find out about you? And
initially, if people have internet access, they're very welcome to go onto the website, which is the normal W's, and then .releaseonline.org.uk.
We always do it twice. www.
.releaseonline.
Is that all one word?
All one word.
All lowercase.
So it's lowercase the word release, as in being free, and then online.org.uk.
.org.uk.
And there's a tab there for Budget Buddies. If they would like to ring, the mobile number, and I'll give a landline as well, is 07932 088331. So that's,
it's all gone out of my head already.
so that's 07932 088331.
Right.
And the landline is 01773 306 289. So that's 01773 306 289. And if somebody does contact us, we'd like to have an initial conversation with you. It could be myself or it could be my colleague Richard, and just to see it's something that you'd like to get involved with. There are people who are Budget Buddies who also do other volunteering as well. So I would encourage people who are working as volunteers in the community, or even if you just live in Bolsover and you want to help your next door neighbour or a friend, or you just want to help yourself to decide about money, especially with the introduction of universal credits, with the benefits where people will be receiving their money very often monthly, and you will then have to decide what bills to pay and how to pay it and how to manage that. We are geared to help people prepare for that and work that through. So whatever stage you are in your finances, whether you have got problems paying money back, or whether you'd like to be prepared for the future, please let us know, and we would love to work with you and hopefully to release you from financial bondage.
Paul, thank you for all of that. Can you do something about the weather as well? The snow?
I know a man who can.
Do you?
Yeah.
He's not called Trump.
Nah.
Sorry, he's not going to do anything. It's a notable day, the day the snow arrived and the day Donald Trump... What? Sorry, things can't get much worse. Sorry, that's a personal opinion. Paul, thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you, George.